Illinois has become one of the best teams in the country this season, led by what their offensive production has been capable of. Illinois currently has the #1 offense in the history of Kenpom, dating back to 1997. The Fighting Illini have been on the rise offensively as assistant coach Tyler Underwood, son of head coach Brad Underwood, took over the offense a few years ago. But how is this college offense dominated using a lot of NBA principles? There's 7 areas we'll discuss, starting with the roster construction. Let's walk through a series of possessions from the same game that shows just why this personnel Illinois has makes it feel almost impossible to defend. Starting with this, where you have 6'6" Keaton Wagler handling the ball. Purdue decides to switch everything in order to take away everybody else, and Wagler is able to rise up over the top. In this one, he refuses the screen to get downhill. Purdue has their center positioned in the paint to help protect, and leaving 7'2" Zvonimir Ivisic out on the perimeter, who's able to knock down a 3. Here, you're going to have 7'1" Tomislav Ivisic set the screen. Purdue is going to high hedge to get the ball out of Wagler's hands, but then Ivisic at 7'1" again is able to pick and pop and knock down the 3. Here, Purdue decides to scram switch Braden Smith into it in order to keep the guard in front of Wagler, but now, as Wagler gets downhill, he's able to spray the ball out to one of Illinois' plethora of shooters, Jake Davis, who is able to knock down a shot at the buzzer. And at the end of the day, when you force Illinois to actually have a miss, they're just going to crash the glass harder than anybody in the country for putbacks. That's what makes Illinois so difficult to defend. They're currently listed as the tallest team in all of college basketball, but they have skill and shooting at every position on the floor. Between 6'6" Keaton Wagler, 6'7" Andrei Stojakovic, and 6'2" Kylan Boswell, Illinois has elite ball handlers who can thrive in their opportunities. There's also multiple spot-up shooters in Ben Hummerkaus and Jake Davis who fill the forward spots. David Mirkovic is a skilled forward at 6'9" who can handle and shoot, and twin brothers Tomislav and Zvonimir Ivisic are both over 7 feet tall and very good shooters. We'll dive deeper into the spacing and concept that Illinois has offensively, but it starts because of the personnel that makes it possible. We knew Illinois got plenty of talent this offseason, including multiple players from overseas, but no addition has been bigger than Keaton Wagler, who came in ranked as the 261st player in his class, but has turned into a potential one-and-done lottery pick. The next area to hit on will be the pick-and-roll game Illinois has. On the season, Illinois runs an average of 29.2 pick-and-rolls a game, the 22nd most in the country. They're currently averaging 1.086 points per shot out of pick-and-roll, the 3rd best rate in the entire country. At times, it may seem like simple offense, but Illinois is a team that doesn't want to have any wasted movement. By having elite shooters throughout their roster, they optimize spacing to be able to tilt the defense to their favor. One way they do this is by the use of the shallow cut with a pick and roll. Illinois uses this shallow cut a lot, whereas you're going to see here, once the ball gets to the top of the key, notice Wagler right here is going to shallow cut underneath the screen. What this does is it can just put defenses into a bind, and here it's going to open up the pick and pop 3 for Zvonimir Ivisic. Here, it's going to be Jake Davis being the one shallow cutting, and with Rutgers putting 2 on the ball and Davis popping out, it opens up the lob for Ivisic. We see the shallow cut here bring the defense with him, which then opens up the driving lane for Boswell to get all the way to the rim. And in addition to having to worry about everybody else, you do have to worry about the person cutting, where here Jackson State puts 2 on the roller, which then opens up Hummerkaus on the 3-point line from the cut. The shallow cut is far from the only way that they create pick and roll opportunities though. They have a few other structured formations they'll use to get into those looks, including horn sets and flex looks. In this clip, Illinois sets a high ball screen and then flows into a flex cut for Stojakovic to come up the gut and then get the ball. From there, he's going to flow into a pick and roll where he refuses the screen to get 2 feet into the paint and be able to convert at the rim. Illinois starts here in a horn sets before flowing into a flare screen and then eventually a step up screen. With Nebraska in a high hedge, Boswell does a good job of engaging the big and then getting the lob up to Ivisic. Something that we haven't specifically discussed yet, but is probably the most important thing to the Illinois pick and roll game, is their ability to have unique spacing opportunities. Illinois isn't afraid to have bigs in the corners, guards in the dunker spots, forwards handling the ball, and everything in between, and what this does is it puts defenses into real binds. As a quick overview, the dunker spot is shown right here on this graph, kind of located basically where the short corner is, and Illinois is very comfortable putting different guys in those spots to alter spacing. Let's go back to the last play we just dissected, but I want you to watch in the corner more. So as this pick and roll happens, notice how Mirkovic is going to step into the dunker spot over here, engage the Nebraska defender just a bit so that opens up the lob. In this clip right here, Illinois has Kylan Boswell located in the dunker spot, meaning that there isn't really a rim protector in the paint. So now as Wagler drives, Sanford gets out of position, and Boswell is able to get the dump off for the layup. This is another clip to focus in on the dunker spot. Illinois starts in a horns flare set like we've talked about before and flow into a high pick and roll. Now from there, notice Stojakovic goes into the dunker spot, but as Ivičić starts to roll to the rim, then Stojakovic is going to flare out. It just puts some added confusion on the defense on where they're supposed to be. Now remember the dunker spot spacing because it is something we're going to talk about again in just a little bit, but there is other aspects to the spacing that we need to hit on. This is a clip we already looked at, but I want to break down the spacing again, where there is a spacer in the dunker spot, but here with the pick and pop, notice how Illinois has 3 guys located at the baseline or just a little bit above it. What that means is it makes it that much harder for Purdue to rotate defensively for the pick and pop 3. This clip highlights the 5-out spacing that Illinois has and the question that it makes defenses have to try to answer. As Stojakovic drives, do you help on the drive and give up a 3, or do you leave one-on-one? Here UConn digs down, which then opens up the kick-out 3. This is another example here where Boswell is going to get the ball up at the top of the key, flow into a pick and roll, and Texas Tech has to decide whether to help or not. They end up doing it off the strong side corner, which opens up a kick-out 3 for Hummerkaus. Illinois has a ton of options out of pick and roll because of their combination of skill, spacing, and shooting. This translates to another area we'll hit on right now. Illinois currently runs the 10th most isolations per game in the country. Although the frequency is nowhere near the pick and roll rate that Illinois has, it is something that they can go to in bunches when the matchup calls for it. Illinois has ran at least 10 isolations in 2 separate games this season, and they average right about 6 a game. Because of their versatility and size with their ball handlers, it doesn't always have to be one specific guy. The guard duo of Wagler and Stojakovic have been elite out of isolations, but guys like David Mirkovic and Kylan Boswell can also get theirs in a pinch. Similar to the pick and roll game, spacing and the constant threat of 3-point shooting is what allows this to happen. In this clip right here, it's as simple as Illinois clearing out half of the floor. What this allows is Wagler to be able to get downhill, get 2 feet in the paint, and then able to draw the foul to get to the free throw line. In this clip, Illinois is just going to kind of pass the ball around the top of the perimeter until they get the matchup they like, which is going to be David Mirkovic out on the wing. Again, notice how there is a ton of space for him to be able to drive, specifically with Illinois in their 5-out spacing. Now as he drives, there are a couple crashers for offensive rebounds, but Mirkovic is still able to get all the way to the rim. Illinois is going to get the switch that they want here, with Purdue center having to guard Wagler. Now they relocate, get Wagler the ball back at the top of the key, and from here you can see he has driving gaps both to his left and to his right. From there, he's able to get the separation he needs off of Clough to get the pull-up 3. When Illinois likes the matchup for Stojakovic, they'll often run something like this, where they get him the ball at the elbow and then set a rip screen where now Wagler is the one who is in the dunker spot. Remember the spacing there, so now that as Stojakovic drives, it makes it harder for the center to rotate over and block the shot. In both of these topics we've talked about, Illinois gets their looks because of the ball handlers having space to operate, since Illinois has 5 shooters out on the floor at all times, which brings us to our next topic. We've talked about it throughout this video, but we need to specifically hit on the 3-point shooting from Illinois. Illinois is currently taking 50.4% of their shots from 3, the 16th highest rate in the country. They're taking 30.8 3-point attempts per game, which is the 13th most in the country. Out of the top 15 teams in 3-point attempts per game, only Cornell is shooting better than Illinois, who's shooting 35.9% from 3 as a team. It's the combination of elite shooting talent up top combined with depth of quality and willing shooters that makes Illinois so dangerous from 3. They currently run essentially an 8-man rotation when healthy, although it's worth noting that those 8 rotation players, all 8 currently average at least 3-point attempts per game. They are one of only 2 teams in the history of the StatHead database that has had 8 different players average at least 3 3-point attempts per game. In addition to just the sheer volume of threes that Illinois gets up, they're one of only 7 teams in the StatHead database history who have 6 players shooting over 34% from 3 while taking at least 3-point attempts per game. Long story short, Illinois is going to shoot and make a lot. Now to make the short story long, let's look at how they do it. This is going to end up in another pick and pop 3 where Illinois moves the ball around, but then flows into a step-up screen where Ivičić twists and then is able to pop and convert over the top of the defense. This is going to be another emphasis of the spacing, where Illinois sets a high ball screen, there's eventually going to be a switch, and Boswell's looking to attack. As this is happening, look at the weak side corner though. Davis stays in the short corner, but instead of trying to crash to the rim, he just kind of steps out to the 3-point line, and you can see his defender is lost, and now this opens up the kick out 3. Illinois flows into another high ball screen here, a pick and pop, but instead of Mirkovic popping and shooting, he actually at 6'9" attacks the closeout, gets 2 feet in the paint, and kicks out to another shooter for 3. Illinois puts you in such a bind defensively because they have elite on-ball shooting, but they also have guys everywhere who can pick and pop or catch and shoot out on the perimeter. On the season, the 7-foot Avicic twins both have taken more threes than twos, and they almost always pop after setting screens. Tomislav, for example, has taken 45 threes after setting a screen. On top of that, Illinois is currently 17th in the country in three-point percentage off of pull-up threes. So teams who do choose to just switch everything mean that they have to live with Illinois shooting these shots that Illinois is comfortable with. The other reason why teams can't just switch everything is because of Illinois' ability to offensive rebound. They currently are 4th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage, rebounding about 40% of their own misses. On top of that, they average 16.2 second chance points per game, which is the 4th most in the country as well. Even when you do get this Illinois team to miss, they're able to generate second chance looks because of a concept called tagging up, noted by Eric Fawcett. What this means is that Illinois looks to hit a body as they crash the glass hard. This does two things. One, it puts a ton of pressure on defenses to be physical and absorb the crashes. Two, it limits transition opportunities for those defenses since there isn't anyone who can just leak out. Illinois gives up just 8.2 fast break points per game defensively, the 69th best rate in the country despite crashing the offensive glass incredibly hard. As Wagler drives here, notice Boswell be able to crash baseline from the corner to get the easy putback. That's something that they do a lot of. Here is an example of Illinois tagging up. As the shot goes up, notice that all 4 guys who crash look to hit a body first and then go track the ball second. This pushes the defense inward more, which then allows more longer offensive rebounds. This is another example here of that happening, where as the shot goes up, everybody crashes into a body, and now the baseline guy can sneak through and get the offensive rebound. Part of why Illinois shooting bigs makes it difficult to defensive rebound is that now the big is stretched out to the perimeter and not being able to crash to the glass. At the end of the day, Illinois values the ball, and they're going to generate more looks per game than the other team. They're currently 24th in the country in turnover percentage, averaging a bit under 10 turnovers a game. When you combine that with Illinois generating those offensive rebounds we talked about, Illinois is just able to get a ton of high-quality looks. They aren't a team who's going to get to the free throw line a ton, but rather, as stated many times throughout this video, they rely on their size and skill to get their points. This video has been a breakdown of the offensive principles for Illinois, but I did want to do a brief breakdown of the film since they've become a top 30-ish defense. Illinois plays a drop coverage defense where the goal is to protect the paint and force mid-range shots. Now, something that they've added in this season is more gap help. In this clip right here, Illinois is again going to be in their drop coverage. Now, as the ball handler comes off of the screen, notice how there's going to be the drop coverage, but also a dig from the strong side corner, helping off a shooter. This limits the drive capabilities, and now Northwestern has to reset, where, once again, Illinois is able to just scramble and force a tough pull-up too. Here is another example where Illinois is going to be in the drop coverage, but with the gap help, they force more pull-up 2s and 3s than they did last season, where coming off the screen, they're able to contest and actually get the block. Given how incredible the offense is for Illinois, the defense just has to be good enough. This Illinois offense has all of the pieces needed to go on a deep run in March. They have the elite shooting bigs, the future NBA ball handler, the auxiliary wings who can shoot and drive. This team has the skill and versatility to match up against any opponent, and is why they've been one of the best offenses we've ever seen in college basketball.